So what is a reference track and how can you use one to make your mixes and masters sound even better? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about that. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, and if you're new here, my goal on this channel is to help producers, songwriters and musicians create, record and release their best music. So if that's something that you think you're interested in, highly suggest that you subscribe to the channel because we've got new videos with tips, tutorials and techniques every week. Now in this particular video, I'll once again be diving into the archives of my Feedback Loop show, which is a live show I do every week on the GarageBand Users Facebook group. But I have some good news, and that is that I'll be bringing the Feedback Loop over to the YouTube channel. So from next weekend, we'll be doing the live show right here on Studio Live today. We are finally putting the live in Studio Live today. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have topics that you'd like me to cover in my live show, drop those in the comments below of this video, or you can contact me by checking out the description. All of my email and other details are down there. Now let's jump into this content that was recorded last week on the Feedback Loop. Do you use reference tracks for mixing, mastering? So Mike is asking anyone if they use reference tracks. A really good topic, so let's talk about that as sort of our last main topic, and then we'll finish up here. So if you're not familiar with what a reference track is, it is exactly what it sounds like. So your reference track is a track that you bring into your project that you will listen to compare your song to the song that you want it to sound like. Now, it's not 100% that you want it to sound like that song, but what you want to do is, if you want to make your song radio ready, so if you want to make your song able to be released, so it's sounding good, so it's going to compete on a volume and on an EQ and on a mix level, what a lot of folks will do is that they'll get their song in their project, and then they'll onto one track, they'll bring on an entire other song. And then what they'll do is they'll solo that song, they'll listen to that through their headphones, through their mixing setup, and they'll go, okay, so I'm hearing what that sounds like. They'll unsolo that, they'll put their track back on, they'll play that, and then they'll tweak it to go, oh, okay, so this track that I like that sounds really good, that sounds like what I want, is hitting me with a lot more bass. So maybe I need to go in there and tweak up some bass. Or it's like, oh, my song, my mid-range is really standing out. It's sounding really honky. Maybe I need to grab the visual EQ and just dial down my mid-range at about 1 kilohertz or 2 kilohertz, something like that. So referencing is just that act. Now, I don't use reference tracks as much as I should, which gets me into trouble, to be honest. A lot of my released songs I listen to now, and I'm just like, oh, if only I had listened to that against this song I wanted it to sound like, then maybe I would have actually EQ'd it better, or maybe I would have added like a better blend of effects and plugins, or whatever it happens to be. So I need to do it more, because it's really easy to do in GarageBand. All you need to do is bring in like an MP3 file. So put it into your iCloud, put it into your iTunes file sharing, however you get it in there, and then of your favorite song. So you're doing a big killer rock track that you want to really pop, get your favorite Nirvana track, and then just put that in there into your GarageBand project. You can then solo that, listen to that, unsolo it, listen to yours. Now keep in mind, if you're mixing and referencing, you're referencing against a mastered track. So you're referencing against a fully mastered track as opposed to a mixed track. So you don't want it to be as loud, because when you go to master, if you're doing it for a mastered track, yeah, fine. But don't worry if your mix is not sounding as loud and really popping, because that's what you should be doing in your final mastering process, is that you should be just bringing everything up to that nice mastered level. So for mastering, definitely reference your tracks, bring in a reference track. Final Touch, which I use for mastering, doesn't make it super easy, I'll be honest, to reference. I would love it if they had a track reference option in there. That would be a great thing in a new version, because you basically bring your one track into Final Touch and then you have to do all your tweaking and setting there. So if you're doing it in GarageBand, it's actually a lot easier, but in Final Touch on the iPad, I haven't found a good way to reference. And there you go, reference tracks are a very important and useful way of getting your mixes and masters sounding good. Now, if you'd like me to do a complete demonstration of how to use reference tracks, then let me know that in the comments as well. Also, let me know any of those questions that you have that you'd like covered on a future Feedback Loop episode right here on Studio Live today. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for sticking around. We've got 2 other videos linked down below. If you're in the future, one of those may even be an episode of the Feedback Loop right here on the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified when we get all of our new videos here. And you can head on over to studiolivetoday.com for even more audio goodness.